Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Trade the Chain. It is August 10th, and it is Tuesday. And it's pouring rain down here, getting ready for what could be a possible tropical storm. But with that said, we're still coming to you. Monty is off today, trying a little bit of a new format as well. You're going to get some market analysis in this episode, and then Ryan, best hair in crypto, and I are going to come back, and we're going to have an episode on the news. And there's big news today, so I know Ryan's excited to give it off to everybody, and that'll be at the 5 p.m. Eastern time hour. So just playing around a little, doing our YouTube thing. But with that being said, let's not overlook the elephant in the room, and that is CJ. I mean, look at that. He is getting ready for the Market Rebellion NASCAR at Indianapolis Motor Speedway this weekend. He has his crew shirt on. He has his HODL hat on. I mean, CJ, you're looking pretty baller, my man.
Yeah, I wanted to mix it up other than just the, standard black tee. But we got these yesterday at the office, and we're really looking forward to seeing not only Tommy Joe Martins in the Market Rebellion car, but also, of course, Landon driving for Voyager. So it's going to be a really interesting time, and I'm really looking forward to it. Excited to come back with some good footage for you guys and some live reporting actually at the race. So, that'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
Are we gonna lay down any bets between the Trade the Chain car and the Market Rebellion car at Indy?
Yeah, there'll be bets. There'll be
All
big
right.
ones. There's a lot riding on this, especially how close the two drivers are ranked now. It's getting really, really competitive. So it's awesome. I think it's a great way for, 2 or 3 companies to collaborate and be part of a great sport. So, all good there.
It is. It's been fun. So glad to have you on the track at Indianapolis. Looking forward to it. For sure. Folks, before we get started, just want to just remind everybody that anything Market Rebellion or Trade the Chain, CJ, myself, say, do, show, or analyze is purely for education and entertainment purposes only and is not financial advice. But we hope to give you a good show and see what's happening in the markets because really, CJ, just a short time ago, the U.S. infrastructure bill was passed. It was voted on and passed. I watched the Senate hearing as they did it on the floor there on Capitol Hill. And really, in speaking with Ryan as this was going on, really not a lot, if anything, changed. I mean, very, very scary for crypto companies in the U.S. And so what I want to do is kind of get your analysis on what the market is doing now in reaction to that after that vote. So before we hop into that real quick, just want to take a show of the markets. We have a lot of green even after the vote on the Hill. So that's always a positive note, and a lot of sentiment is pretty good. But we'll take a dive into Ethereum and Bitcoin sentiment after Mr. CJ gives us our technicals on it.
And before getting into the charts, I just want to say that it's incredible the resilience we've actually seen in the market despite this uncertainty and doubt. I mean, I struggle to recall. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, everybody was freaking out when we fell from 50 to 30K very recently ago. But emotions have been extremely high on Twitter. I've seen them in the room for Market Rebellion myself, and people were really upset. There's a lot of negative emotion this week. Yet price has still been extraordinarily strong. And so I think that's really important. I think it actually speaks to the strength of the overall bulls in the market. And I also am going to make a point about the Delta variant and how it's kind of affecting traditional markets as well and how that plays into Bitcoin. But let's go take a look at the charts first.
And 2 things to that point real quick, CJ, is I do want to let the folks know the bill would not be in effect until 2023. Okay, so there's a little ways off, and there's some things that can go on between that. But also, the crypto market is global, and the U.S. is a part of it. But there's a lot more crypto outside of the U.S. So keep the positivity up on Twitter.
Yeah, that is so true. And, the same was true for the retail FX market. Um, ton of speculation coming from, the Asian jurisdictions. And really, we see pretty equal levels of volume, if not more volume, coming from countries like South Korea, Japan, as well as China and some others, Singapore, things of that sort. But let's get into the charts here. Um, So first, let's start by highlighting Bitcoin's critical levels, still above the 200-day moving average. I actually do want to go to this one tweet and look at some fun strat research because, out of all the global macro strategists, I have to say I don't think I've found anybody who has been more right other than Tom Lee. Of course, they forced him to say price predictions for Bitcoin. So, he said 50K in 2018 and 2019. Of course, that didn't come true until 2020 and 2021. But if you look at these average 6-month forward returns above the 200-day and then below the 200-day, it speaks pretty good volumes to where we're at right now. So that's the key level that I'm really watching. We're really stuck between these Fibonacci levels of both support and resistance right now. I do think we're probably going to see some chop before another leg up. That wouldn't be untenable considering we're already up over 50% in 1 month. So a pullback or some chop is not out of the realm of possibility. It's not like, Bitcoin can just go up forever. What would concern me a little bit from the bullish perspective is if we lost this 200 period moving average and then, lost even that 0.5 Fibonacci level. If we make a lower low and we lose this previous higher high, I would be a little concerned and potentially have to reevaluate the bullish thesis. But we're not seeing any of that in terms of price action. We're actually still very strong in terms of relatively negative sentiment. I mean, if you're just going to judge it by, what everybody's been saying. There's another takeaway that I thought was pretty interesting from the infrastructure bill, and that's that, crypto, it kind of was legitimized by that infrastructure bill in the sense that there were so many people who came together, both Republican, Democrat, independents, to really rally behind crypto, and I think that does speak volumes to the importance and the actual legitimacy of the space. I'm not a huge proponent of the idea, oh, we're going to buy Bitcoin and that's going to be our form of protest. I don't know if people really did that, so to speak, but this definitely does legitimize crypto in the ranks of like policymakers now, in my opinion, because they're starting to have to answer to the constituents more and more each day as crypto grows among the retail crowd. Last point I want to make about macro, and this goes for both Bitcoin and the collective equity market, and that's to do with the fear and kind of uncertainty that all the markets have been feeling around this Delta variant. And I definitely encourage you guys to go look at this 2-minute interview of Tom Lee. A very
CJ,
flattering,
have you
very
seen that
flattering.
that view of his photo right there? I'm sorry, I had to remark on it.
Very flattering. Yes, we know. But I definitely encourage you guys to check that out. Basically, what Tom Lee has explained is that the Fundstrat research and what they have been doing is that they take the 7-day rate of change of COVID and kind of Delta variants. And even when you go into, some of the most largest COVID populated states, such as Florida, that 7-day rate of change is actually decreasing. So what Tom Lee has kind of come out and said is that he expects the Delta variant to peak within these coming weeks, and that fear, uncertainty, and doubt that not only the traditional markets have been feeling, but also the crypto markets slightly to be lifted, and then have a very high fueled rally going into September and potentially October. He called it actually an everything rally on CNBC this morning, or in the publications of CNBC. So really bullish for crypto and the equity market overall. And I just think the takeaway from this is that we're still seeing strength in the midst of weakness. And until we break critical levels, I think we're going to keep going up.
Well, what do you think of the Bitcoin correlated equities too? I know that Market Rebellion put out a tweet the other day on Mara, so there's still attention being paid there. But how's that coming together in your mind as far? Because I do know that you use the correlated stocks in your portfolio sometimes as an instrument. But I'm curious to see on how your positivity is in relation to them right now.
Yeah, so the unusual option activity log that John and Pete Najarian created, long time ago, decades ago now, it spots unusual option activity in very large orders, specifically taken by potential institutions or at least smart money in the space. And so the idea is to kind of interpret those options trades and then tag along with that smart money and follow those large institutional players. What we see a lot when it comes to blockchain related equities and what we see on the unusual option activity log is that Riot and Mara typically come in together. Typically, we see large amounts of calls being bought in both Riot and Mara at the same time by institutional players. And they're usually doing this through short-term options. Like I remember on the 8th, just a couple of days ago, we saw two massive orders coming for a August 13th, just this Friday. So it's a short-term play, but a lot of like large institutional bets on Bitcoin is what we've been seeing in the last week. And so, yeah, it's pretty interesting how institutional players, I'm guessing that Citadel probably trades a lot of Mara and Riot, as well as Bitcoin settled futures, as opposed to just physical Bitcoin. I think a lot of institutions are leaning towards that because they don't want to deal with the custodial implications so far. But it was interesting to see that, this morning. And of course, we got the spike afterwards. So,
yeah. All right. I want to get your opinion on something as well. I mean, taking a look at the sentiment of Bitcoin as we went through the 7-day here, obviously we saw that dip a couple days ago in sentiment pretty heavy, but it rebounded. To your point, there's been a lot of positive, just market momentum when it comes to it. But can you explain now, we've had this, we're going into this negative sentiment territory, and folks, sentiment is in the red, the negative, and the price is in the blue, and we're seeing still this slow decline, from back up into 46,000, now touching the 45,000 mark. But why the negative sentiment? Is it just have to do with the infrastructure, or does it have to do with the market all, as a whole, as a macro?
I think in a macro viewpoint, the market is very healthy. I think there's a lot of established support. Could you go back to the previous one you just had? So if you take a look at that massive spike in price, kind of in the earlier half, around let's see, 20
Yeah,
at the bottom. So you have, I don't think sentiment is playing a big factor on price right now. I think if it was, we'd see lower 40s. We wouldn't see the resiliency in the market that we're seeing right now. And you can see that inverse relationship in kind of the first spike there around the 20 mark. And so right now, what I think we're seeing in price is just some profit taking and kind of a slow to neutral consolidation before a potential run up. Because like what we've been saying since the start of the show, price has rallied regardless of sentiment. And that's kind of noteworthy, I think. If something can rally in spite of uncertainty and doubt, imagine what happens when that uncertainty and doubt dissipates.
Well, I like the fact that you set it out too. I mean, FUD. All right. What about Ethereum? What do we have going with Ethereum as far as its market movements? Are we strictly correlating to Bitcoin? Do we have the same type of sentiment happening from technical perspective in that? Because right now I'm looking at the screen, CJ, and there's a lot of green on the hour and the 24 hours. I mean,
yeah, I agree that most things are following Bitcoin. The interesting thing with this rally, as opposed to previous ones, is that Bitcoin actually led. We had Bitcoin dominance. Let's see, just take a gander. I mean, throughout the past couple days, we have had Bitcoin dominance really rally. So Bitcoin did lead the charge to start, but now we're seeing a lot of alts come back. And I also wanted to look at the altcoin market cap, total 2, and observe what we have. We've really been talking about these W bottoms, those double bottoms that were put in just a couple weeks ago, and how we've seen such explosive price action since then, I think we're probably going to see something very similar to what we're seeing in Bitcoin with the total altcoin market cap. We're probably, likely going to see a sideways to neutral consolidation before a push higher, I think. And if we go back to, I do want to look at this schematic that I keep referencing, because it does show this very clearly. Bear with me, guys. Okay. So this phase D line right here, this is where I feel we are. We're hitting above the 200 moving average. We're pulling back. The individuals who bought down here now have a chance to take some profit in the short term before a potential phase E. So I do think we're currently in the later stages of phase D before a potential increase into the upper 40s and potentially 50,000s. I do still think we're likely going to follow that, especially when you consider kind of the health of the overall markets. But Total 2 and Ethereum, I mean, that is a very, very similar chart. And so I'm interpreting those very similarly right now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just even looking over at the price sentiment, you could see that spike you were talking about right here. And then also you could see how sentiment is still going lower. It's just like it's just like Bitcoin. But still a lot of positivity. So I'm surprised and shocked. If I could, I just want to go over the boards real quick. If you look at daily sentiment right now, you have some high score. You have some bakery token 90. You familiar with bakery token, CJ?
That's what I get my my
Your
donuts
croissants?
with in the morning. Yeah.
One of the interesting ones that's been kind of quiet lately is UMA. It's one of those financial derivative product DeFi protocols. Coming in here with an 87 score bullish, but UMA has been quiet, and you can see even relative tweet volume is heavily down. But you have Orion, you have Chainlink, Civic. We don't talk about. But also looking across some of them, and I know CJ, you just stand back for a second while I talk VGX, if you don't mind. But with what Steve did, the CEO, Steve Ehrlich, the CEO of VGX, with the announcements, the swap, and just deal making, this is just a huge up spike wall right here. Look at that. That happened last night. This is wow. For 358 to 415. So, I mean, really positive. Sentiment shot up. Take a look at the hourly on VGX. It's held up there in a range bound pattern from that big skyrocket up there. So, taking a look at STMX, a lot of other people following the STMX ticker, StormX. Our buddy Simon Yu over there keeps hanging up on me when I try to give him a call, thinking I'm a salesperson. But StormX, rebounding to 0.026, was down at 1.014015. So it's had a good week. We have 7 days up 25%. So good job for StormX and those stormtroopers. So just a lot of positivity and really feeling bullish. And I actually think my heart's in it. This is the start of the second leg. It's just going to be slow until the end of August, and then I think it's going to do something amazing through the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Alex. I think this is going to be a slow grind with a lot of shakeouts in between, but ultimately we're moving in the right direction. And I do want to make a point about VGX though, because we had some very, very interesting activity last night.
Yeah. Did you look into it at all? Can you break it down for us? Because there was a lot going on with VGX on the overnight.
So this is the 1 minute chart. And over a span of 3 minutes last night, we went from a price of $3.60 to $4.28. So this is likely coming off the back of one entity or just a few orders that really got triggered. So I think I think this is some smart money getting into VGX. I'm not gonna say anything more. Just but I thought that was really interesting, and that's definitely something that you want to see. I see buy the dip, sell the tip in the comments. I'll be on DJ Crypto's show with Mike the investor tomorrow. We're going to talk Chia as well as some other projects. So thank you for having me on that. I'm really looking forward to it.
GJ Crypto, one of the VGX heroes, one of many now, and early participant in that movement. But it's a lot of people believing in something, so it's all positive, all good. Same with stormtroopers and a bunch of other protocols. But I'm definitely going to watch that episode because one, I like Mike the investor, and I obviously like you, CJ. But I also want to take a look and learn some more about Chia. It's what I like about Chia. It has a really impressive team from the onset. So I think I just need to learn more under the covers. But so far so good. That is going to do it for us, folks. Please don't forget we're doing a little bit of a test today. We're doing the analysis now live, and we'll have market news at the 5 o'clock hour. And until then, hang on to your handlebars as usual. You gotta love CJ and his racing uniform, getting ready for Indianapolis. Don't forget to head
Better
on.
than the robe. It's better than the robe.
It's better than the robe. I don't know. Some people might fight you on that. Don't forget to head on over to marketrebellion.com/crypto, tradethechain.com as well. And please, if you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe and like button on your way out the door. Until next time, we'll see you at 5. Take it easy, folks.